we need to continue beating the same drum of customer fairness to make sure that every American is protected by these common sense guardrails. Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, has begun enforcing its junk fees rule to promote upfront pricing and fight against deceptive advertising for both products and services. Congress also passed the BOTS Act, as the chair had mentioned, in 2016 to stop ticket scalpers from using bots to buy all available tickets for a show just to be able to resell them to the highest bidder. Despite this progress, we need to work together to make sure across government and industry that we can do more. A level playing field with fair competition, clear rules, strong enforcement is going to help every aspiring artist to sell as many tickets as they can, sell out every place they can, and make sure that every performer gets that chance to reach new fans and every consumer that chance to create new memories. This committee has shown that on a bipartisan basis, Democrats and Republicans can come together and begin to make common sense reforms a reality. The Ticket Act, led by Senators Schmidt and Markey, ensures that every consumer sees the price transparency they need from first click so they aren't blindsided at the checkout. The Main Ticketing Event Act improves data sharing between ticket platforms and helps the FTC catch the bad actors who use bots to hoard tickets and rip off fans. And beyond regulation, I am proud to partner with Chair Blackburn on the American Music Tourism Act, which will grow the entire music ecosystem through economic development, not just regulate it. Each of these bills have passed this committee with bipartisan support. Now we need to make sure that we get them all signed into law so consumers can reap the benefits of these protections. This is about more than just a lower service fee. It's about protecting the live experience that brings so many people together. Let's get the junk fees out of the way so we can get back to enjoying the music of, well, of John Denver and Rocky Mountain High. Chair Blackburn, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman, and you know, we might let Red Rock or some of your Colorado venues be a little Nashville. We'll take that on. I want to say a thank you to each of our witnesses today. What a great panel. We are grateful that you are here. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our witnesses. Our first is Mr. Robert Ritchie. Perhaps he is better known as Kid Rock. Kid Rock is a well-known singer, songwriter who has sold over 25 million albums around the world. He brings first-hand experience drawing sold-out crowds to events across the country. Our second witness is Brian Berry, Executive Director of Ticket Policy Forum, an advocacy coalition representing the nation's 6 major online ticket marketplaces. Mr. Berry has spent the last decade working at the intersection of live events, ticketing, competition, advocacy at the federal and the state level. Our third witness is Dan Wall. Dan Wall is the Executive Vice President for Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at Live Nation Entertainment. Live Nation Entertainment, the parent company of Ticketmaster, is the largest ticket vendor in the world. And our final witness, David Weingarten, Chair and co-founder of the Colorado Independent Venue Association, representing over 100 promoters and venues. He also serves as Vice President for Concert and Events at Z2 Entertainment. At this time, Mr. Ritchie, you are recognized for 5 minutes for your opening statement.
There it is. Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Blackburn and committee members, for this opportunity. My name is Robert Ritchie, PKA Kid Rock. I'm proud to say I've been packing arenas, amphitheaters, and stadiums with the greatest fans on earth for over 25 years. I'm also a capitalist. I'm here today because I love God. I love this country. I love live music and sports. And I believe music fans and artists have been getting screwed for far too long by the ticketing system. I'm in a unique position to testify because, unlike most of my peers, I am beholden to no one. No record companies, no managers, no corporate endorsements or deals. To put it plainly, I ain't scared. I ain't scared to speak out on these issues like many artists, managers, and agents are for fear of biting the hand that feeds them. I'm here because hardworking Americans who love live music deserve better, and because artists deserve control over their own work. And let's be clear, this problem is older than timeouts and participation trophies. 30 years ago, members of the rock band Pearl Jam, members of the rock band Pearl Jam sat in these same seats, warning Congress about ticketing abuse. In 2009, Congress was told under oath that merging Live Nation and Ticketmaster would benefit artists and fans. The CEO of Live Nation called the merger an experiment and promised it would increase competition, empower artists, and lower costs. He also said, and I quote, "A system that empowers artists benefits everyone." Almost need a rim shot after that. The CEO of Ticketmaster at the time also testified in 2009 and said, "We believe the combination of our two companies will benefit artists, fans, theaters, sports teams, museums, and all the other facilities, performers, and spectators who use our services." The economic foundation that supported artists in the past is crumbling. Piracy is threatening their livelihood. Secondary ticketing is driving up prices for the fans with absolutely no benefit to the artist. Needless to say, that experiment has failed miserably. Independent venues have been crushed. Artists have lost leverage. Fans are paying more than ever and getting blamed for it. Should Ticketmaster and Live Nation be broken up? Probably. Would that alone fix things? Not sure it would, but I am sure of this. No artist should be forced to sell their tickets without a say in who sells them and how they are sold. What other business in America doesn't control or at least have a say in their own inventory? If artists had real choice, real competition would follow, and tickets would end up in the hands of real fans at the prices we, the artists, set. It's no secret, none, that this industry is full of greedy snakes and scoundrels. Too many suits lining their pockets off talent they never had and fans they mislead. The truth is, much of this could have been, or still could be, solved through technology, especially proof of humanity tools. It hasn't happened yet because there's just too much money in the secondary ticket market. Ticketing companies didn't fail to stop this. Seems they chose not to. Now, meanwhile, the problem has been addressed with much success overseas. In parts of Europe, resale ticket prices are capped, and it seems to be working. I've been advocating for a 10% price cap here in the States on the resale of a ticket. And in fairness, Ticketmaster and Live Nation have supported this cap. Where I'm confused is this. I don't think Ticketmaster needs a law passed to do this. If that's true, then it only proves these companies have been reactive, not proactive. I would implore Congress, this is important, to subpoena the contracts and deals between artists, promoters, buildings, ticketing companies, agencies, and vendors, because as I understand it, you will find mountains of fraud and abuse. Now, my positions and solutions are as follows. Number one, artists should control who sells their tickets and how. Number two, resale ticket price caps work and protect real fans. Number three, the Bots Act should be enforced. Brokers and bad actors must be stopped, and all should face serious penalties and consequences. All-in pricing is great, but it doesn't fix the system. Outlawing speculative ticketing is obvious. The problem is that ticketing lobbyists push these reforms as cover while fighting to keep tickets in an open market and lets them exploit fans under the guise of capitalism. Do not be fooled by these tactics. Congress and many others have been fooled since the mid-1990s, fooled again in 2009, and so on. This wasn't an experiment, it was a monopoly dressed up as innovation. So I'll close now with the words of one of my favorite rock bands, The Who, and say it is my sincere hope we won't get fooled again. Thank you. Rock on.
Thank you, Chairman Blackburn, Ranking Member Hickenlooper, and other members of the subcommittee. I am Dan Wall, Executive Vice President for Corporate and Regulatory Affairs at Live Nation. I thank you for the invitation to appear today. Just like the members of this subcommittee, we love the live entertainment experience, the magic of the show or the big game, and we are proud of our contribution to the explosive growth in the industry. Today, there are more shows than ever before, more artists touring, and more tickets available to fans at every price point. We're also proud that Live Nation and Ticketmaster have led the industry in working with artists in particular in finding solutions to the problems in the ticketing marketplace that frustrate fans. We're proud that our resale marketplace stands alone in putting the interests of artists and fans first, in sharp contrast to the ticket broker-driven business models of the secondary resellers represented at this table. And we actively support public policy initiatives and reforms on transparency and unfair resale practices, the kinds of things addressed by the Main Event Act and the Ticket Act. And on these issues, Live Nation consistently stands with artists, with venues, and with fans, and in opposition to ticket brokers and other resale marketplaces. We are acutely aware of the frustrations fans feel about their ability to get tickets to in-demand shows, the kinds of things that you mentioned in your opening statement, Madam Chair. How are so many tickets getting into the hands of scalpers? Well, the short answer is through an increasingly sophisticated technology package that is automating the business of ticket scalping. For a long time, we thought of this as the bots problem, and that remains a problem. Through Senator Blackburn's leadership, the principal law on this subject is the Bots Act of 2016. The problem is only escalating. Our data shows an extraordinary escalation in bot attacks. 4 years ago, in 2022, we were blocking roughly 37 million bots per day. Yet in the fourth quarter of 2025 alone, we blocked 566 million bots per day on average. That is a 15-fold increase in 3 years. And obviously, we can't block that many unless we're being attacked by that many or more. And the problem is not just bots. We are facing a proliferation of ticket harvesting technologies. The scalper's technological toolkit has expanded and now includes software that allows users to manage multiple browsing sessions simultaneously, proxy services that mask a user's true IP address, and software that creates a massive number of fake ticket accounts. Incredibly, Ticketmaster now receives up to 25 million account sign-up attempts every day, 99.7 of which we reject because our technologies determine they are not real fans. We are fighting back with the most sophisticated defenses out there, including most recently identity verification, which is the technology that Kid Rock mentioned. Live Nation is also giving artists new and powerful tools to fight scalping, such as our face value exchange, a service that permits tickets to be sold for what the first purchaser paid and no more. We know, as the chair has said many times, that doing all of this and addressing these problems is our job. We don't shirk that responsibility at all. We, in fact, are stepping up to it like never before, and yet our artists and fans still need help, which we hope will be the focus of this hearing. Now, I know that some of you will want to ask about the FTC's lawsuit against Ticketmaster for allegedly violating the Bots Act. My October 17 letter to Senators Blackburn and Lujan goes into this in some detail. What I want to say now, Madam Chair, especially to you and Senator Lujan, is that your letter to our company after the lawsuit was filed did get us thinking about this as more than a legal issue between us and the FTC. You pointedly asked us why Ticketmaster allows brokers to maintain multiple accounts and use them to join on sales to buy tickets. That prompted us to take a harder look at our own policies and implement changes that we hope creates a better experience for fans. We've made big changes. Ticketmaster policy is now to limit everyone and every entity, ticket brokers included, to only one Ticketmaster account. We will no longer let any broker maintain, buy concert tickets with, or post resale tickets for concerts using more than one account. And we will not allow any broker to post more tickets on our resale marketplace than the posted ticket limit for the show. In closing, I submit to you the real question is how we are going to get others to do the same thing. The broker-first resale sites will never do this voluntarily. Their business is 80 to 100% broker-driven. About 3% of our income comes from the resale of concert tickets. So when you look at it from that perspective, the question is, what can we do to get them to comply? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman Blackburn and members of the subcommittee. My name is Brian Barry, and I serve as Executive Director of the Ticket Policy Forum. Thank you for inviting me. First and foremost, we appreciate the committee's work on the Ticket Act and the Main Event Act. The Ticket Policy Forum represents America's leading online ticket marketplaces: StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, Game Time, TickPick, and Events Ticket Center. Importantly, these companies are not just resale marketplaces. The world has evolved. They each have unique business models, but several of them seek to challenge the status quo in so-called primary ticketing and are directly working with teams, venues, and promoters to give fans better access to tickets and much better access to technology, and to give these partners in the industry enhanced options when it comes to the distribution of tickets. To be candid, real progress in breaking through and getting into the primary ticket has been tough. I don't need to tell you that, mostly because the monopoly makes it that way, as the Justice Department has detailed in its complaint against Live Nation Ticketmaster. As an industry, however, we get fans into the events they love. We help to ensure no seat goes empty. It's our obsession. Our member marketplaces serve tens of millions of fans every year, providing safe, guaranteed ticket transactions and trusted options when it comes to both buying and selling tickets. Further, we are proud that our online marketplaces brought ticket resale off of street corners where fraud and counterfeits were rampant and into the online space where they are protected, it is transparent, it is tax-paying the way it should be. There's one thing that nearly every one of us will agree on, and that is that the system, including the ticketing segment, should work better for fans. Too often, for reasons long before a ticket is even manifested or put on sale, fans are set up to feel confused, frustrated, and shut out entirely. But blaming ticket resale for all the problems in this system, ticket resale being the very end of the chain, completely misses the mark. Significant harm to fans originates at the source in the currently rigged system, where one dominant player maintains its powerful grip today over artist management, promotion and tours, venue operations and venue ownership, venue ticketing, primary ticketing, and ticket resale. This committee and the executive branch have repeatedly studied this issue and reached several important conclusions about how to improve the fan experience. So I'd like to tell you about that. There's 4 items. Number 1, the FTC now requires all-in upfront pricings so that fans are no longer misled about what the cost of their tickets will be. We can all agree that it took too long, but it was the right outcome. The Department of Justice, as you know, has sued Live Nation Ticketmaster repeatedly, has readdressed consent decrees, and now will begin one of the biggest monopoly trials of our lifetimes, along with 40 state attorneys general. Please, Department of Justice, stay the course and finish the job. Congress, Madam Chair, as you know, passed the BOTS Act, and the FTC is investigating and suing several alleged violators, including Ticketmaster. The FTC should continue to enforce the BOTS Act, and we agree the act could benefit from enhancements to help with enforcement through the Main Event Act. And in part thanks to this committee's leadership, the House of Representatives passed the Ticket Act to address things we can all agree upon: refund protection, deceptive websites, and deceptive speculative tickets. This committee passed it by voice vote. Now, this bill, if it were to become law, would require significant re-engineering and investment and change from our member marketplaces, and we accept that. We embrace that because it's the right thing to do for the fan. We urge this committee to send it to the President to be signed into law. You're going to hear a lot of disagreement today. However, there is far more, believe me, that the 4 of us sitting here agree on than we disagree on. Go after illegal bots. Ban deceptive websites and ban deceptive speculative ticketing. Our platforms support stronger fan protections that include more transparency, less deception, and more enforcement of fraud and abuse. What we can't support and don't, however, is completely locking fans out with other options, eliminating legitimate resale, driving resale into fraudulent black markets, and giving more monopolistic control to one company under the false banner of reform. I encourage you to resist framing this debate about a zero-sum fight between good and bad players, because the fight is about the fan. For the consumer, it's about the banning bots, it's against deception, and against fraud. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Blackburn, Ranking Member Hickenlooper, Ranking Member Cantwell, and the members of the subcommittee. My name is David Weingarten, and I'm grateful to be here to discuss all of this. I'm Vice President of Concerts for Z2 Entertainment. We operate 3 independently owned venues across Colorado: the Boulder Theater and Fox Theaters in Boulder, Aggie Theater in Fort Collins, and exclusively book several more across the state, producing approximately 700 live shows annually. We didn't choose to become policy advocates. We chose to run small businesses, employ local workers, and bring live music to our communities. But the scale and aggressiveness of the ticket scalping market has left us with no choice but to speak up. So what's going wrong? Fans are unnecessarily price gouged on reseller sites when cheaper tickets are still available from our box office. Billions of dollars in Google ads steer fans into the scalping market. StubHub alone spends $800 million annually to have their website and ticket listings appear on search engines ahead of ours. StubHub had active listings advertising $40 parking spaces at the Merriweather Post Pavilion right here. The problem? Parking is free at the Merriweather. Every night, our box office staff deals with fake tickets that don't scan, for seats that don't exist, for events that were never scheduled at all. Ticket Network listed tickets for a Joey Valance and Bray show at the Fox Theater. The problem? The show didn't exist. One fan paid more than $300 to a scalper for 2 Big Bad Voodoo Daddy tickets at the Boulder Theater, which cost $27 on our site. The reseller also promised, quote unquote, guaranteed first 8 rows. The problem? The show was standing room only. The most extreme version of this is what resale sites call concierge or seat saver tickets, which are not tickets at all. Fans are led to believe that they are buying a real seat, but they're unknowingly paying overpriced for a price gouge promise that someone might try to find a ticket later. It's purposely deceptive. For example, the Howling Wolf in New Orleans was charging $10 to a show before a single ticket had been sold. Despite that, StubHub was listing a speculative ticket for $964. We found seat saver tickets on Vivid Seats for Beyonce in Houston, Atlanta, New Jersey, and Las Vegas for rows at the venues that did not exist. This is the core of the concierge model. Charge first, source later, maybe. That is why the music industry does not support the House Ticket Act as written. It claims to ban speculative tickets, but creates loopholes that allow this deception to continue under a fancy new name. You couldn't sell a car, a hotel room, or a plane ticket you don't own and call it a service. Live shows should not be any different. When something goes wrong with these fake tickets and overcharged tickets, fans don't blame the scalper who sold it to them. They blame the venues and the artists. We are responsible for paying artists, staffing, safety, production, payroll, rent, performing rights organizations like ASCAP, and more. Scalpers and their platforms do not pay any of these costs. Nothing. And they definitely do not deal with the upset and angry fans at the door. At Z2, we've been forced to print out and keep this reseller customer support sheet because fans are angry and confused that this is quite literally the only thing that we can do to help. Anyone who's tried to get help from these sites knows that phones don't get answered, emails go nowhere, and travel expenses aren't reimbursed. The question before Congress is not whether fans are being harmed, they are. It's whether federal policy will finally catch up to the realities of ticketing in the United States. Congress should ban speculative ticketing with 0 loopholes for schemes like Seat Saver. Embrace bipartisan movement in the states by passing a national ban on resale above face value and a cap on outrageous resale fees. Ban deceptive URLs, spoof websites, and predatory search engine advertising. Support the U.S. Department of Justice effort to break up Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and close the Bots Act enforcement gaps by passing the Blackburn-Lujan Main Event Ticketing Act. Artists should be able to control how their tickets are sold. The fans should be able to trust the platforms that they use. And independent venues should not have to fight for survival while scalpers make billions off of our risk. We need Congress to act now. In an era defined by division, live music continues to create connection and common ground. Making it affordable for Americans is definitely worth fighting for. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, I'm good. We're going to begin our 5-minute round of questioning and work through the members as they come to the dais. Mr. Wall, I want to come to you. I want to thank you and your team for collaborating with us as we planned our hearing today, and your appearance is certainly appreciated. I will say I was quite disappointed when I read the FTC complaint against Live Nation Ticketmaster, as well as your response. I couldn't help but remember our hearing from the Judiciary Committee that I referenced earlier, and it was after Taylor Swift's, your platform had such a meltdown. And your president, Ticketmaster's president, told members of the committee unequivocally that your company does everything in its power to stop the circumvention of your ticket purchasing limits and security measures. So, given the allegations in the FTC's complaint, how can you possibly stand by that sentiment saying you do everything you possibly can?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, it is in litigation, and it's not going to surprise anyone that we contest a lot of the most basic allegations in that case. But let me just say that the reason that I feel that I can say that quite confidently is because, you know, when we left that hearing, we got the message. We understood that we had to up our game, and we have made increase after increase in the resources that we throw into the battle against not just the bots, but all of the different techniques that
Does Live Nation Ticketmaster employ a chief technology officer?
Yes.
You
And
do?
in fact, we have a brand new CEO who is a technologist.
What is your expectation of that CTO?
Our expectation on this particular issue is to make every effort possible to get the tickets that an artist like Mr. Ritchie wants to sell to his fans.
Have you consulted with other companies in similar nature to yours, or other companies, like I said, financial institutions that fight bots every single day?
Of
Have
course.
you all consulted with them to see what they're doing?
Of course, and the new...
So you've consulted with them. Have you picked up any of their best practices?
Absolutely.
And so why are you not able to block the bots?
We are blocking over 500 million.
But you're not getting all the bots. If the local power company had your approach to this, every day they would have a bot scoop in and get user data. They would get information. They might even corrupt the system because they get these cyber attacks daily. It is inexcusable that you all cannot find a way to keep transparency and fairness in this marketplace. Mr. Berry, do other of your members have problems such as Ticketmaster has?
So our members have similar teams of employees who take care of those problems as well. And we have a company that is well-known and is trying very difficult to break into the primary, and has done a little bit of that, and does not experience those problems, and does ticket football stadiums as well.
Mm-hmm. So you had mentioned if a broker couldn't be a part of a resale system, it would be a black market. So what is the process somebody goes through to become a broker? Is it just an email address? Is it a physical address? What is the process you require of people?
So to become a broker, we are online marketplaces. So in order to sell tickets on an online marketplace, I don't know if there's a process.
I'm fully aware you're an
to become
online
a broker.
marketplace.
Sure.
In other words, do you know the people that are there? Do you have the information? Do you do enough of research to know that this is actually an ongoing concern and not a scalper?
So every seller that is on a marketplace has to set up an account and be verified and provide their information and their address, et cetera. If there's ever a problem as a marketplace, like any marketplace, in our case, tickets, we only do one thing, and
Mr.
that's tickets.
Weingarten, you're kind of rolling your eyes on that. You got a response to that?
I don't think that that's even possible for the amount of,
So you don't believe what they're saying?
I do not.
Okay, that's great. Mr. Ritchie, I want to comment to you. I know you've got the reputation not only in Nashville, but around the country. You do a barn burner of a show, and you're known
You're going to say something
for-
else.
Not quite, but you take care of your fans. You are known for taking care of your fans. So how has this price gouging in the marketplace affected your fan base? What do they tell you?
They're pissed. It prices them out of the market, many of them, especially, the working class folks. And like I've explained before, people don't realize why this is so different than another business where maybe if a grocery store is gouging on the price of something, you might be able to go to another store close by if you have those means to get that a little better price. When you're talking about your favorite artist, I'm looking back when I was a child and some of my favorite artists, I would have done anything to get into those shows. And so some of these people, they're maxing out their credit cards and they're in debt. They're missing a house payment, things like this. So the way it affects them is terrible. You see it all the time. Go on to any artist message board who's popular and tickets come, and it's a conundrum to get them. And just look at those messages. Oh, I wish I could go. I wish I could afford it. I'm priced out. Like blah blah blah. It's really just common sense, which is we keep talking about. I've heard it from Mr. Hickenlooper and down here. They're trying to run this disguise again of like speculative ticketing and all-in pricing. These things are great, and we do all agree on them. It doesn't solve the problem because what they hide in these things, which I believe they've done in Colorado and that they're doing in California, or they've done, is they do all these wonderful things. It goes, oh, they're doing all this stuff for ticketing. What they don't do, or what they do is they sneak in or they say, we must keep tickets on the free market. And all that does is give the scalpers, the bad actors, the bots, a license to ill. That's it. So they keep running this game. Don't be fooled. Like the only way I've seen it that we can fix this is, and Live Nation, us and Ticketmaster agree on this, oddly enough, that there needs to be a price cap. They've tried this in Europe. Just look at it. It works there. Do I want to be a follower of Europe? Not really. But you know what I mean? If they did something that's kind of working, we ought to take a hard look at that.
My time's expired. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Senator Blackburn. I actually chaired the hearing in Judiciary that Senator Blackburn took part in, and Mr. Ritchie, thank you for being here. I remember that well because we had trouble getting artists that wanted to come forward. We found a guy, Clyde Lawrence of the band Lawrence, and what I remember most is that he ended up being a great witness, but he kept turning to the person behind him, and everyone on TV thought it was his lawyer. It was his saxophone player. That hearing,
I have the same lawyer present.
There you go.
None.
But it made a difference because we gathered evidence that we gave to the Justice Department and with Senator Lee. And what we found out at that hearing was that Live Nation Ticketmaster size is unbelievable. No company should have 80% of ticket sales at major concert venues, own 40% of the top 50 amphitheaters in the U.S. and control 60% of promotion revenue. We also discussed many of the issues that you've talked about today, about the bots and about what's happening in the resale market. And I've been frustrated. While some things have improved and we've appreciated the companies worked with us on some of these, but it just continues to be a problem. Mr. Berry, I'd start with you. Why does breaking up Live Nation Ticketmaster help?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I believe this case that faces the entire nation right now will answer the question of whether or not a monopoly can be held accountable and do better or run roughshod over our government and the market. Simply put, in terms of specifics, there's been this conversation around exclusive contracts and venues. We agree a venue should be able to decide. A venue should be able to decide, but not extorted into making a decision, because that affects the downstream effects. In the world of ticketing, one of the greatest examples, and it's in the amended complaint, Senator, had to do with the Ticketmaster SafeTix technology. It was announced as anti-fraud and counterfeit technology. The way it's being used is to foreclose competitors and abuse fans. It abuses a fan after the fact when months down the line, because they don't deliver tickets when you buy them, you pay for it and you get them 6 months later, where they disappear, they get canceled. Worse yet, you leave fans with legitimate tickets outside of venues not able to get in because their tickets have been taken back by Ticketmaster.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Weingarten, as an independent owner, could you talk about, for a concert venue, how this issue, this anti-competitive practices affect independent venues?
Well, when you've got one company that controls that much, and it's not just the amount of money that they have, they've got a significant amount of leverage managing artists. They've got all or nothing ticketing deals, touring deals that won't allow for any other plays unless they're in these venues, and these are multi-million dollar deals. If you're radiusing out any other sort of like play within a market or close by.
Radius clauses that you're talking about.
Radius clauses, that's correct. Those make, and if I'm like sort of a known promoter that has brought an artist up for a while, and I want to be, and I want to continue to work with that act, and put them in maybe a larger space, they wouldn't be renting to me.
Right.
The list goes on, and they're a behemoth for sure, and it makes things very difficult for independent promoters.
Thanks also for focusing on some of the deceptive practices. That bill that Senator Cornyn and I did, the Fans First Act, some of those provisions are in in the Ticket Act.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Wall, as we look at advancing some of this legislation, but also as we look at what's happening with that case, and I believe you got to let the Justice Department do their job. I know that Live Nation has hired a number of lobbyists. That always happens, but Trump-aligned lobbyists to apply pressure to overrule the antitrust division and settle the case. The former Deputy Assistant AG for Antitrust, Robert Alford, someone I've called as a witness in judiciary several times, appointed and subsequently fired by this administration, warned about these lobbyists' influence over the case. Would you agree that the Justice Department's antitrust lawsuit should be resolved based on the law and the facts and not political pressure?
100%, and I expect that to be resolved in our favor. One thing I wanted to tell you, Senator Klobuchar, because you brought it up, is that in that lawsuit, in the ticketing market that isn't gerrymandered but simply takes the full range of opportunities in large concert venues, our share is actually under 50%. So that's the government economist's number, not ours. So I think that you should take some comfort in that.
Okay. Mr. Ritchie, I have a feeling you don't take comfort in that, but...
Well, I was just going to add, I know no one likes a tattle, but from what my sources tell me, you might want to ask Mr. Wall, is that my friend President Trump, the Live Nation has also hired a couple of his friends, Rick Grinnell and Kellyanne Conway. That says a lot right there.
Okay, Senator.
So, okay, on that note, but could I just ask one last question on the subject here of just what you think the effect is on smaller bands, not ones that fill the whole arenas
bands?
like you of Monopoly?
The smaller bands, I mean, if you get popular as a smaller band, it's almost the same problem. You're just selling out a smaller venue, no tickets, and they get jacked up in prices, and all the same things still happen.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Schmidt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank you for having this hearing. The reason why I introduced the bill is I agree. I think that for me, and I think a lot of Americans, these live events, whether it's a concert or a sporting event, it brings people together. You do have those memories. I remember the first concert was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers at what was used to be called Riverport in the St. Louis area, and just love going to concerts. You just hate seeing people get priced out. I'm a big Cardinals fan. You see people getting priced out playoff tickets. I mean, look at the college football playoff, the national championship game. I mean, these Indiana fans, like the worst program in the history of college football. I can't get in the arena, and I understand there's limited capacity, but I just think that there's the more transparency that we have, I think is really important. I think, Mr. Ritchie, what I hear you saying is we should do that. This is broad bipartisans, we should do that, but there's more to do, right? There's more to do than just the transparency because you're just seeing regular people that are just getting boxed out, right?
Yes, those are things we can all agree on, the speculative ticketing, the transparency, all that stuff, but it does not solve the problem of getting the tickets into the hands of the fans at the prices the artists set. Like I said, I'm a capitalist, I'm a deregulation guy, but something needs to be done here. This has gone on for 30 years. It's only gotten worse.
Right, right. And I appreciate you coming here today because I think you lending your voice to this is important. I wanted to ask Mr. Wall, in a lot of these sporting events, the dynamic pricing and inventory holdbacks are now kind of routine, with only a fraction of the seats, I'd say, often actually released to the general public. Given this kind of structure that exists, what is Ticketmaster's policy on disclosing to fans how many seats are truly available for the event at the moment of sale, and do you support greater transparency standards on that point?
Thank you, Senator. We definitely support greater transparency. I do have to say that there's a wrinkle in this, in that certain kinds of information are primarily useful to ticket brokers that are trying to size the market for what they can, how much they can charge, and we draw some lines there. I want to take this opportunity to say that we do not ever hold back a ticket. Ticketmaster wouldn't have the authority to do this anyway, but we do not hold back tickets from the primary ticketing market. We don't secretly send them over to brokers or anything like that. And that is one of the fundamental ramifications of the fact that a concert promoter with a CEO like Michael Rapino owns Ticketmaster. That puts us on this side of the aisle instead of this side of the aisle, because we're going to make the decisions that are good for Mr. Ritchie and other artists.
How does, and I'll stay with you just for just a sec, Ticketmaster recently announced several policy changes, including limiting entities to a single verified account, you mentioned that, and removing broker management tools. How would this legislation, the Ticket Act's requirement for full transparency, complement that or help that as far as the internal changes that you're already making in that regard? Or does it?
I don't see a particular connection to it, but we're going to vote yes on transparency pretty generally, just because we agree that that's an important part of the market, and a lot of these issues, particularly in the resale markets, there's so much opaqueness, there's so much misdirection that as a society we've got to do something about that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Berry, music venues and promoters traditionally guarantee that every ticket sold by their box office admits them to the shows. How do your ticket resale platform members verify that a ticket is real prior to it being listed on their resale platforms?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. We advocate, as your office knows, for interoperability and greater connections between the primary and secondary. Great example, sir, would be Paciolan. That's a company that Ticketmaster was required to divest during the merger, large in the collegiate area. When there's a ticket purchased or resold, there's a connection on the back end so that there's verification, and when it goes for sale, there's a guarantee it goes through. This is not just trusted, but it's verified. We'd advocate for that across the entire ecosystem. When 80% or more of popular concert tickets are controlled by one company that will not share that information, there has to be a lot of trust and there has to be a lot of customer support. The greatest thing we can do as marketplaces then is hold the sellers accountable.
So, Mr. Berry, do all your members guarantee that the ticket's good?
All guarantee refund protection or comparable.
That's not what I'm asking. Do all
Yes,
your
Senator.
members guarantee when you buy the ticket you're going to get in? I mean, the answer is no. We can just say it. The answer is no.
The guarantee
I can move on to
is that your ticket will work.
Okay, let me
or
move
you
on to the next
refund,
question.
Or you,
I'll
or you
help,
get
I'll
comparable
help you with this, sir. You're not going to say it, I'll say it. The answer is no. And we know it's a problem. We need to fix it. So if you're saying that you want everyone to guarantee it, then make them. Don't allow them to be a member unless they guarantee it, then we won't need to pass legislation. So I hope we can work on that one together. Mr. Berry, which of your companies allow speculative ticketing and which ones ban it?
So multiple companies don't allow it on their platforms, and you know, the challenge with speculative ticketing, sir, is that there are a lot of tickets that you may presume are speculative that have already been provided through different allotments that no one knows about because it's completely opaque and secret. There can be, you know, multiple pre-sales. There can be deceptive secret holdbacks of tickets. Now, I understand today that was challenged, but through subpoena authority, the New York State Attorney General obtain this information. So when we see some of these tickets, they are not speculative.
Let me ask you the question.
As for speculative, sir, we would support a ban on deceptive speculative tickets as the Ticket Act has prescribed.
Would you support a ban on speculative ticketing?
Yes, sir, and that's why I call for this committee to pass the
So
Ticket
will you
Act.
do me a favor? And Mr. Rich, I appreciate your response earlier. To all my colleagues on the committee, I had the amendment. I had the amendment to get rid of speculative ticketing, and then I was told by some of the offices, take it down because it's going to take the whole act down. And I talked to the main author, Ms. Blackburn. We said, well, okay, we need this, we need the act. But if everyone here agree we should get rid of speculative ticketing? Mr. Ritchie, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Wall?
In stronger terms than he.
Mr. Berry, I heard you say yes. You want to repeat that?
Yes, Senator, pass the Ticket Act.
Absolutely.
Let me ask
get
a
rid of
question just real quick,
speculative
Mr.
ticketing.
Berry. You support getting rid of speculative ticketing? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. It's a big change in the industry. We think it's the right thing to do for the fans.
Mr. Weingard?
Absolutely,
Okay,
100%.
well, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you're here, sir, and we hear this, and all the staff in here hears it. And maybe we can just offer this up next time we have any bill that comes in, since we're in the Senate. There's nothing that restricts us on offering whatever we want to do. It's in the committee's jurisdiction, so I look forward to doing that with everybody here as well. Mr. Wall, let me jump to you here real quick, sir. September 2025, the FTC brought suit against Ticketmaster, alleging that the company knowingly allowed brokers to use multiple accounts to evade ticket limits. Now, I'm aware that you dispute these allegations and there's ongoing litigation. But my question is, how many bot-related circumvention referrals has Live Nation made to the FTC since the Bots Act passed in 2016?
I'm not sure the exact number, but there came a point when they told us to stop doing that because they understood that the bots problem was an ongoing problem.
So have you disciplined, Mr. Wall, any brokers, or your company disciplined any brokers or banned them from buying or listing tickets on Ticketmaster based on their circumvention of your technological controls?
Yes.
I appreciate that. Madam Chair, I'm going to turn this back over to you. I know everyone here knows that I've been proud to work with Senator Blackburn on this issue as well. I now am proud that I heard from everyone in the industry that we can get rid of speculative ticketing. I look forward to working with the chair and the ranking member of the full committee to bring that up. And all the staff that are in here, I hope you just author it. If the chair wants to put his name on it, I'd be happy to turn it over. But let's get that done. Let's get rid of it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome to all the witnesses. Mr. Ritchie, let me say, as a Texan, I'm particularly happy to see you bringing cowboy hats back to the United States Senate. It warms my heart.
Yes, sir.
Let me start with you, Mr. Ritchie. In your testimony, you talk a lot about how music fans and artists have been harmed by systemic problems within the ticketing system. You've been doing this for over 25 years with a ton of success. What do you see as the biggest problem for music fans?
Well, like we're saying, we keep going back to these speculative ticketing. You know, transparency, all this stuff, great. Everyone does agree on these small things, but it does not solve this problem. The biggest problem I see as an artist is getting the tickets at the prices I set into the hands of the fans. And like I said, I'll say it again, I'm a capitalist, I'm a deregulation guy. There's no way around this but to put a price cap on this or technology figure it out. But technology hasn't yet. Maybe they don't want them to. I mean, when people are making a lot of money in the secondary market, and I even told the CEO of Live Nation a couple years ago, I go, you know, you guys would have probably gotten away with this a lot longer if you just would have paid the artists some of the money in the secondary market, which they never did. We never shared in that. But either way, I'm here for the fans. That's it. I would actually take a pay cut off this. I would rather have more fans and take a little less money or have packed buildings and play to that, because let's face it, as a front man and a lot of front men, we have a little bit of egos, all of us. And rather than take that little bit extra money.
Fortunately, no one in politics has that.
Yeah, not at all. So it's getting the prices we set, getting them to the hands of the fans.
You also talked about how artists have lost leverage in the ticketing system. And obviously, venues make relationships with ticket sellers. Can you explain what it means, how performers have lost leverage, and what might change if artists had more control over ticket sales?
Well, I mean, just with this, speaking of the secondary market, if I went to Ticketmaster, I don't know, a couple months ago, I got a tour coming up. I could go like, hey, we've agreed on a price for the ticket with the building, with the fees, everything. Okay, I want to buy all 15,000 tickets. No way that's happening. You can only get a certain amount for your fan club that you want. Maybe I want to do special things there. Maybe I want to do things like, like I said, have first class tickets available like an airline, but then also have some really cheap tickets around there without doing dynamic pricing, which kind of takes one ticket right next to another ticket and for no reason just jacks it up. I'd rather be transparent about this going into it. Like, yes, we know we have first-class customers, people who've worked hard and done well. We want to provide them very expensive tickets, so they're going to be there towards the end. Also want to have very cheap tickets, but I want to lay this out across the board. Just all sorts of unique things we could do with those tickets, whether it's giveaways, fan clubs. Some people have corporate deals they want to do things with, and it's not like they haven't worked with us on that. I'm not saying Ticketmaster doesn't. But just the freedom to say, like, I don't want my ticket resold at all. I'd rather a couple percentage, a few hundred people kind of get screwed over and say, I can't sell my ticket back. I got to eat it. Because I know right now if that happened, that 95, 96% of those people would have a great experience at buying the ticket. And some of these things now, I've heard in the last 6 months, we can do that. We can do that. I'm like, well, why couldn't we do that for all these years? And it seems like I said, people are being reactive instead of proactive.
Let me ask the other witnesses, do you agree with Mr. Ritchie, number one, that as an artist he could not buy, say, all 15,000 tickets? And if you agree that under status quo he can't, why not?
I can answer that, Senator. The reason is because in the United States, the tickets are issued and owned by the venues. The ticket is literally a license to come onto the premises during the show. And so there are venue interests here that are reflected in thousands of contracts. What the venues will defer to Mr. Ritchie or any other artist on are the pricing, resale restrictions, things like that, but they're not going to give up their property rights in the tickets.
We too are rooting for fan success, Senator Cruz. We believe the artist and the artist success and event success, we want to see sold out. We help achieve 100% sold out. But at the end of the day, I agree. The artist, they should set whatever price they want to set. I think Kid Rock, if I may, I think he's absolutely right. He wants to set different tiers of his pricing. He can, and fans should have that option. They should also have the option, if they choose, to recover their costs if they can't use it or to be able to resell it. Ticketmaster doesn't make it very easy, sir. Sometimes these price caps come with price floors. It happened to me, and I'm in the industry last year up in Baltimore to see Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks. Took my kid up there. One of us couldn't make it due to business, and we weren't allowed to even resell it for $50. It was a $180 ticket. They set a floor. That seat went empty. An empty seat doesn't buy beer, hot dogs, or merchandise. So we think there ought to be options for consumers.
I don't think anybody disagrees with the fact that there should be some resale available for those types of events that occur. That being said, when a bot or somebody comes in and purchases hundreds of tickets or whatnot, and we are looking at it as a venue, as a sold-out performance, so we staff as such with 100% staffing, the whole lot, and we're also paying the artist for that sold-out show as well. And unfortunately, when those brokers can't get their tickets sold, we'll see a drop count, which is how many people are actually through the door, of 60 to 70%. So now we've lost 30 to 40% of the income from food and beverage, which is how we make our money as a venue. And so, and to put the salt on the wound is that these brokers, these scalpers, will then claim fraud on all of the unsold tickets and will get their money back from these credit card companies. And so we'll get charged that as well. They're called chargebacks. So not only do we lose 30, 40% on those tickets that go unsold for the food and beverage, we get double charged on the chargeback, and there's no way for us to make our money back at all.
All right, so my time has expired, but Mr. Ritchie, I'll give you a chance if you want to respond to those comments. I don't know if you have any response.
I think we're all, for lack of a better term, rock and roll, we're all kind of smoking the same dope.
All right, that spices up the hearing even more.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Senator Cantwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have you gone, Senator? Do we want her to go? Or?
Sure, it's fine. Senator Blunt Rochester, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you also to the ranking member. A special thank you to Ranking Member Cantwell for letting me go before her, and to the witnesses, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the work of Senators Blackburn and Lujan on the main Event Ticketing Act, and also Senators Schmidt and Markey on the Ticket Act. I came to Washington to fight for Delaware families, the fans, artists, and consumers. To me, live events shouldn't be a luxury, but all too often fans are actually facing a stacked deck online, from hidden fees to misleading listings to speculative tickets to bots that scoop up all the inventory in seconds. As everyone has said, I think many of us have experienced it. I too experienced it for Beyonce tickets. When I served in the House, I offered an amendment that was included in the previous version of the Ticket Act to crack down on deceptive ticketing websites or fake URLs. And I'm committed to building on that work and making online ticketing fairer, more transparent, and more affordable for fans. Mr. Berry, we know cybersecurity is a major threat to online ticket consumers. As Anthropic found in a November 2025 report, cybersecurity attacks are now beginning to use AI agents to execute cyber attacks by themselves. Mr. Berry, is the online ticket industry prepared for the AI agent cybersecurity threat?
Senator, it's a constantly evolving challenge, and the bottom line is the industry has to meet that challenge.
So you would say
yes.
Yes.
And primarily when we examine the bot problem, because it is a problem, what you've heard today, these are attacks. There's no place in the system for them. Jumping ahead of a consumer in line and scooping up the tickets just shouldn't be something that can be done by technology. Candidly, that just speaks to an anti-fan approach. But it happens in the primary sector. So when tickets first go online is when these attacks happen. We have a member of our forum that does a very good job. We're talking 99% records. They can provide the specific numbers, but it's very high in terms of keeping them out.
Yeah, I would say I remain still very, very much concerned. For example, the Associated Press reported last year that a crew in New York illegally and without the AI tools, this was without the AI tools, used email redirects to take over accounts and then resold more than 900 digital tickets for pricey events, including the Taylor Swift concerts. Considering this and many other examples, Mr. Wall, what steps has Live Nation taken that will reassure consumers that the ticketing marketplace will be fair and secure?
Thank you, Senator. It's obviously an important question with AI and all the various manifestations. And we are very much looking at both the positives and the negatives of AI. Your question about the defenses, one of the things we're seeing, Mr. Ritchie mentioned earlier about how an important tool that we use to stop the bad actors is identity verification. Well, of course, now what we're seeing is AI agents pretending to be humans to try to pass the identity verification. Right now, I think we're on top of that issue. but it is one of the major initiatives that we have announced at the company as an across-the-board investment in the AI technologies, both on the kind that can serve the fan and the kind that can protect the fan.
And I know you just mentioned the new steps have been taken to address it. Mr. Weingarten and Mr. Wall, one popular tactic is used, it's called the wall garden model. In exchange for stronger security, and the model requires consumers to give up some of their personal data and convenience by locking tickets into a special app that prevents using these tickets with screenshots or wallets. Yet reports like the one from 404 Media suggest resellers can still bypass these walled gardens. Mr. Weingarten, from the independent venue perspective, do ticket transfer restrictions genuinely reduce fraud?
You know what? I'm not quite sure if that actually reduces fraud or not, but I do know that at some points it is necessary to be able to transfer tickets to, if you can't make a show or something like that. But I'm not quite sure, and I'd never heard of the walled garden either. So I'm sorry that I don't know about that answer.
That's okay. I will submit some more questions for the record for the witnesses. But again, bottom line, this is truly about the fans, it's about the artists, and it's about making sure that we, in this age, also care about what's coming next, whether it's AI or quantum, and how it's going to be attacking these systems. So thank you very much. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cantwell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for holding this important hearing, and for you and Senator Hickenlooper, but I want to thank you particularly for your advocacy for the music industry and for your steadfast approach in helping on all sorts of legislation that is trying to make sure that content created by artists are protected and that it's not replicated with AI and a variety of other things. So I'm definitely supportive of the Speculative Ticket Act that Senator Cruz and we passed here, but it hasn't gone all the way through the process. Definitely, I think Senators Markey and Schmidt, I think Senator Schmidt was here earlier and mentioned that he's supporting that. Definitely in support of upgrading the Bots Act of 2016. I don't think it's strong enough. But I think the larger issue here, first of all, love music in the Northwest. We are a big music state. And Mr. Ritchie, appreciate you mentioning Pearl Jam. We have lots of venues. We have lots of places for artists to perform. We're very proud of that. But we're not proud if we can't get the artists in those venues. And the sea change that's happened in the meantime that we've had this conversation is the fact that Live Nation and the tickets are now 80% of the market. So the Department of Justice, along with 40 attorney generals, including my home state, are currently suing Live Nation and Ticketmaster, including monopolizing live events industry. So Mr. Weingartner, earlier, this conversation came up about the radius clauses in contracts. And so, you know, what are we doing to look at this management structure? It was very interesting. The Seahawks said, you know what? Do not resell your tickets last Sunday. Do not. They literally sent a message to all the season ticket holders. They said, don't do it, or we'll take your tickets away from you. And believe me, I didn't see any Rams fans in that stadium, like a few, like 12, okay? But the fans knew they were serious. Now, they could have made lots of money off those tickets, but the venue in this case said, don't do it. So they do have the power to do something here. They just don't use it. And that is an interesting point to Mr. Ritchie's earlier testimony. Why don't they? Particularly when the artists are trying to protect the fans and protect their fan base. But Mr. Weingart, it's even worse when the marketplace doesn't function and Mr. Ritchie can't go to one of your venues because somebody already wrote a clause that says that he can't, or that you can't go within certain miles. So what are we doing to create a competitive environment? You know, again, we have lots of venues that are in the 5,000 to 7,000 seat range, created by lots of outdoor sites, you know, tribes. You know, we have 29 tribes, they're creating venues. Like, there's lots of opportunities for people to go, but not if somebody's shutting the market down because they control 80% of the market. So what do we do to get at these contract clauses that would give other artists like Mr. Ritchie the availability to go where they want? So why can't he or some of these other artists just agree to go to another venue at a lower price?
I think that asking Kid Rock and his management about those deals, would probably be a good idea. But also, it's not
I'm asking
necessarily
you whether we need to see the contracts that show that these kind of manipulative practices are actually being deployed that curtail artists from signing up in your venues. That's what I want to know.
I think that when you're talking about multi-million-dollar national touring, all-in touring deals, and they all want to make sure that they are playing in those Live Nation / Ticketmaster rooms. The artists will play in just those rooms only. And even with some of these like bigger festivals that are playing in LA or in other places, they make these incredibly massive radius clauses that no artist can play anywhere within the western half of the United States for a specific period of time. And so they are locked in contractually to not do that. And when you're talking about, again, these multi-million-dollar contracts, that's something that happens. I do think that with radius clauses, when you're talking about different artists and playing in the same market and whatnot, I do think that there's some discussion that needs to be had around announcements so you're not cannibalizing the different ticket sales. But when we're talking about, the fact that somebody can't play in Colorado because they're playing in at a festival in Los Angeles or something like that, those are definitely more egregious.
If Brandy Carlisle wants to play the Gorge,
Right.
and she makes an agreement to play the Gorge, but Brandy Carlisle also wants to go to Walla Walla and have an event, she should be allowed to go.
She should.
And because otherwise you're just price gouging.
Right.
You're not giving the artist the flexibility. You're basically taking the consumer and you're price gouging, running up the price. And so I just think these clauses are the ones that are, again, with the control of 80% of the market, Mr. Wall, it's just too much. And I know that's what's happening to art. Mr. Ritchie, do you have a comment about this? You seem to know a little bit.
Well, as much as I'd like to agree with you, if you have a radius clause, if I'm going to play a big place and I sell out that place and I want to play another place, it's in that radius. I'm kind of battling myself. It's like having a great restaurant and I'm going to open up another great restaurant right next door. I'm going to split my audience, and it just might not make the most sense. But what I'm here, that can be debated till the cows come home. I think I'm right.
I'm saying they're curtailing these venues from getting these future events.
I think what you're talking about
over a time period. So what I'm saying is you want to let the pressure off for your.
Well, I think what you're talking about is if Live Nation owns 80% of this market, they own most of the venues and the management and this, that, and the other ticketing company, and an act's coming up, and they know they're going to blow up, right? They're going to be a big act, but they're still in like the 5,000 seater range. Live Nation has bought the Fillmore or whatever that's 5,000 seat, but there's an independent promoter that owns another one. Live Nation can come in if they're going to get a $10,000 guarantee and they can say, we're going to invest in their future. We're going to give them 15, 20,000. And that small promoter can never compete with them. Or they're going to give them some back end deal here or there. Is that illegal? I don't know. Is it bad business, good business? I'm not sure. But, there's something to be said when you own most of the market, which nobody really in Congress voted for. They were all kind of against the merger.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Senator Lummis.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm not on the subcommittee, but I'm on the Commerce Committee. And when I was downstairs in my office just now and heard some of this testimony, I cleared my schedule to run up because I've gotten so many complaints since I've been here about Ticketmaster specifically. And so when I have a chance to ask you some questions, Mr. Wall, I'm pleased to. Can you explain, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to all of you. Is Ticketmaster a monopoly?
No, we are not.
And tell me how you come to that conclusion.
Because we are near the end of the road in the antitrust case, and the math has been done. And if you just look at the addressable market for large venues, the government's economist is putting our market share under 50%, so that's not a monopoly share. They have an alternative argument that looks at 20% of that market and says that we have a monopoly of that, but there's no such thing as a monopoly of 20% of a market. That's why.
So what defines a monopoly?
It's typically that you have the ability to charge monopoly prices, reduce output, things like that.
Okay, if you control artists, venues, and tickets, and a person has to choose, who chooses your venue has to use Ticketmaster, or an artist that you have a relationship with, that sounds like a monopoly to me, because you have relationships with artists and with venues and with tickets. And when you're able to combine the three, it forces artists to use your venues and your tickets. It requires venues to use your artists and your tickets. And it takes choice away from both the artists and the venues. And to me, that sounds like a monopoly.
I understand, Senator, and that's the story we hear a lot. But if I could just give you a couple of data points without getting too argumentative about this. We're not a big, we may be the largest venue owner in the sense of the number of venues, but we don't have any stadiums, we don't have any arenas. So where all of these big shows play, the major concert venues, we own hardly any of them. What we own, the only venues that we own that even fit within this market the government is claiming are amphitheaters, which are a small part of the whole. And as far as artist choice, the one thing I will just say is know us by the company we keep. We're on this team. We don't wear the same uniform by any means, but we are on the artist team here. And you know, Mr.
Well, I'd like to start calling the shots then.
Yeah. but it is important to point out that on almost everything, our position is exactly what Mr. Ritchie's is, and it's because his position is very typical of what the artist's position is.
Mr. Ritchie, how would you respond to my question?
Well, I think monopoly is having no competition. I think it's the opposite of this number and that number. I can't keep up with you, Mr. Wall, with the numbers, but it's lack of competition. And I think if there's more competition, let's say in the ticketing market, then that would make things better for the fans and for prices and for the artists. And, you know, and I would say let the artists bear the blunt, take the risk and reward. You know what I mean? If I say that I want tickets to be sold with a no resale, you can't resell them, period.
Yeah.
My fans are going to go like, oh, I couldn't go and Kid Rock's a jerk. Whatever, that's fine. I mean, they pretty much bear the blunt of it now, and StubHub does, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, because they don't give us the freedom to do what we want with our inventory. They don't exist without me and everyone else.
Right.
That's a fact. I think we can all agree on that.
Mr. Berry, how would you respond to my questions?
First and foremost, on the monopoly question, Senator, I'm looking forward to the Justice Department and 40 state attorneys general, bipartisan team of attorneys general figuring that out. The Department of Justice should stay the course, finish the job. If they're watching today, don't settle. Let this play out. As a fan foremost, that's how I got into all of this. I'm pretty sure if it's someone in the schoolyard that can bully and beat everybody up, that sounds like a monopoly to me, and that's what's happening.
Mr. Weingard? Garden? Sorry.
Yeah, we are, the artists hold all the marbles. I mean, the artists and the artist team, they hold all the marbles, and we want to play with the marbles. So we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that the artist is happy, and we want to make and get them what they need. At the same time, when you're dealing with, you know, a monopolistic corporation, or you're dealing with a bunch of StubHub, you know, and secondary and scalpers and whatnot that pay none of the costs. None of these costs are getting paid by these scalpers.
Yeah.
None of them. We pay them constantly, and when that's happening, it's not equitable. It's not fair. There's no competition. You know, they're making their profit margins are enormous because they are not sharing in any of the risk.
Mr. Ritchie, do you hold all the cards?
No, hardly. I just want to say there's so much money in this business. There's enough to go around for everyone. That's a fact. But the one thing we can agree on, there's a lot of merit here to everything we're talking about, but we have to get the middleman out of the way. Just let me get the tickets to the fans at the prices I want to set.
Madam Chairman, thank you.
Senator Hickenlooper, you're recognized.
I was enjoying being incognito. long before I ever dreamed of getting into politics, I was out of work geologist and opened a large restaurant in Denver called the Wine Coop Brewing Company, brewed its own beer. Took us 2 years to raise money. My mother wouldn't even invest, although you don't really care about that. We put a jazz club in the basement, so I became a venue. And so we were the place between Chicago and San Francisco, so Freddie Hubbard would come and play a weekend. We didn't ever get any of the big acts, but we did well enough to lose $30,000 or $40,000 a year, which I looked as collateral damage because people came in and ate in the restaurant upstairs. But I did get a sense of how it worked. Got to be friends with a guy named Doug Kaufman, who was a local promoter. He was trying to renovate this beautiful old theater from the 20s, the Ogden Theater, and I knew him from that. And he was putting on a show at Red Rocks, and he had Spin Doctor, Gin Blossoms, and Cracker. This is like in 1993 or 1994. And his father, who would always loan him the money when time came due to make the big down payment for the lead act, which in this case was the Spin Doctors, his father would do it. His father was building renovating his house, so he couldn't do it. So he came to me, and I got my restaurant. We co-signed the $40,000 loan, so we'd give all that money to the Spin Doctors, who turned out to be out of fashion by the time the concert started. And Doug had promised me that, you could tell how much they'd already sold 25% of the seats 2 months out. And he said, I guarantee you, you won't lose money. And we didn't. And that, there's a poster somewhere in the universe where it's produced by Nobody in Particular Presents, that's Doug Kaufman's company, and the Wine Coop Brewing Company. But I saw just how arbitrary and how fast it all happened. I ended up, basically, I took all my ill-gotten gains and put them back into gift certificates to help him renovate the Ogden Theater. But it created this, once I became mayor and the city of Denver owns the Red Rocks, I became obsessed with why can't we do more acts and more things, and it turned out we could. It turned out the mayor gets to make that final decision. And I think that's where a lot of my passion from this kind of comes from, is seeing how it works up close and personal. Let me start, Mr. Weingarten. Thank you for joining us today, and your work in the Colorado music industry has helped keep us a leader in music. Now that the senator from Washington is gone, I can say really on a per capita basis, way beyond Washington. Next year, Boulder's actually going to start hosting the Sundance Film Festival. As you mentioned, when fans purchase a ticket, they expect to be allowed to enter the show to get what they paid for. Can you paint a picture for us when Coloradans attend one of your venues and realize they're the victim of buying speculative tickets or fake tickets? What happens?
Yeah, and that is a daily occurrence. Anytime that we have shows, we have issues. Doesn't matter how big the act is or how small the act is. People are coming into our box offices at the Fox Theater, the Boulder Theater, the Aggie in Fort Collins, and they are, and not only is the fan helpless, but the venue is helpless because we have the only way that we can help them, as I had mentioned before, is that we can give them, we have these sheets printed out, laminated sheets printed out that say the customer support of each of the different, the scalper sites, so they can call. But the problem is that one, the phones don't get answered, the emails don't get, people don't respond to the emails, and it's always after the fact. And so what happens is we're at a loss. We have no recourse that evening, and so we're left with a father who brought his teenage daughter to a show. They've come in from out of town. They've bought. They have hotels. They've went to the restaurant. They've done everything that they did. They're out of that money. Where does that? Right. Where's the recourse there as well? So we see this on a daily basis, and it's a massive problem.
Oh, well, we will do our best to fix that. Mr. Ritchie, and I'm sure you've been astonished seeing, just as we all have, that the revenue that an artist makes is now no longer your royalties. It's where you perform, at least for most people. I think you might be in a different league in that. But you've worked with countless venues and performers and middlemen and promoters and platforms. And as much as you love seeing fans sold out, I wanted to ask just a question about dynamic pricing. and whether there isn't a way to get the artist more money from that. If that ticket's going to be resold, shouldn't the artist get a piece of that, a cut of that? And wouldn't that justify that open market after tickets have been sold?
I don't know if it justifies it, but it definitely would have shut everybody up for a little while longer. If they would have let the artists share.
That's all we
some of
hope
that.
for in the Congress,
Yeah,
right?
secondary market or whatnot. But I think that was kind of, they started this thing called platinum ticketing, and that's kind of what it was. They kind of shared some of that revenue with the artists. It was just this, it's like, no, we don't want any of this. And to be honest with you, back in the day, I didn't really understand it. I don't think most acts do either. You got these managers who aren't really managers anymore. Manager used to just look out for one act. Now they have these conglomerate of acts. They have 10, 20, sometimes hundreds of acts. So they got to play nice with everybody. They can't just go, screw you, this is what my artist wants to do, blah, blah, blah. Right. And they're going to take as much money as they can because they usually get paid a percentage off the top. So I'm not a fan of any of that. Like I said, I would rather just have them like an airline. I'm going to have some first-class seats. I'm going to have some economy seats. You're going to know what they are right up front.
Yeah, well, I'm out of time. I do appreciate all of you being here. When I first got elected governor, we had the One Republic, Lumineers, Nathaniel Rateliff, and Ice Sweats all came in and donated their time to play for our inaugural. That was fun.
That's a good show.
And like most good fans, you remember those special nights.
Exactly.
Around a concert and around a venue. Senator Markey, recognized.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you to Ranking Member Hickenlooper for holding today's important hearing. And with my New England Patriots now playing Senator Cantwell's Seattle Seahawks in a Super Bowl less than 2 weeks, this hearing comes at a fitting time because prices are sky high. In fact, right now they're double the price to go to Denver for the Patriots-Denver game in that beautiful snow globe that you created. And so just absolutely, he was governor and mayor in Denver, okay? So just incredible. But it's just absolutely crazy how high the prices are for a single ticket to these games. And it also comes just a few months ahead of the World Cup in the United States, where ticket demand and ticket prices are just absolutely astronomical right now. So consumers are understandably frustrated by the state of ticketing today, from hidden fees to ghost tickets to deceptive advertising. Misleading ticketing practices plague the industry, and it's time for them to end. And that's why Senator Schmidt and I have introduced the Ticket Act to clean up these unfair and harmful practices. And we're doing it on a bipartisan basis. And I thank Senator Cruz and Senator Cantwell for signing up for this legislation and moving it through by a voice vote last year. And I'd like to ask for this letter from the Consumer League, National Consumers League, in support of the Ticket Act to be included in the record.
Without objection.
I thank you. The National Consumers League and other groups such as the Sports Fan Coalition have been critical advocates for pro-consumer and pro-competition policies, and I'm proud to have their support on this bill. And now I want to get each witness on the record about important policies in the Ticket Act. And I recognize, as Mr. Ritchie said earlier, that the Ticket Act doesn't solve every problem. We're aware of that. But I do want to get some of the basic answers on the record in terms of what's in the bill itself. And so the first would be on all-in pricing. Starting from my left, do you agree that ticket sellers and marketplaces should disclose the full price of a ticket up front? Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, Senator.
Yes.
Thank you. Good. Next, speculative ticketing. Do you support a ban on speculative ticketing?
Yes.
In all circumstances, without exceptions.
Pass the Ticket Act and ban speculative ticketing.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I thank you so much for that. Do you, as we move to disclosure requirements, do you support prohibiting misleading resale advertising and use of deceptive URLs?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Senator.
Yes.
And last will be refunds. Do you support providing consumers with a full refund when an event is canceled?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Senator.
Of course, yes.
Thank you. And thank you. Those answers were almost as good as the Patriots' defense against Denver on Sunday. So sorry about that. But I hear unanimous support for the key provisions in the Ticket Act from the main stakeholders in the ticketing industry, and I look forward to working with my colleagues to get this bill.
It's a good start.
Thank you. Good start.
Thank you, Senator Markey. I want to go to a second round of questions before we close this out. And Mr. Wall, I want to come to you because in the FTC's complaint, executives at Ticketmaster knew that scalpers were violating the ticket purchasing limits. And it seemed, from what I've read, that it was a big inside joke that you all knew this, but you were allowing it to happen. Your C-suite knew of this. One of your executives even wrote in an email that we have stating that you, and I'm quoting, turn a blind eye as a matter of policy, end quote. Now, you have emphatically denied that this conduct really had any sort of malfeasance. You all have denied that, but I want you to answer. Why would you have to turn a blind eye, as your executive put it, if there was no wrongdoing that was taking place?
I think that is taken very much out of context, Senator, but let me just cut to the chase here. Our actions
We'll be happy to
speak.
provide you the email.
I have the email, I've seen it.
Okay.
But our actions
out of
speak
context.
louder than anything else. We showed up, we walked the walk. We actually put the money in, we improved our defenses. Our bot defenses are second to none in the world.
They're obviously not up to par. You've got bots still getting through, and
we
you've
will-
got scalpers that are still scooping up these tickets. So we've got a disconnect going on here somewhere.
And Senator, we will always take the position that so long as tickets are still going on this way, then we're not up to par. That's our position too.
Okay, well, let's accept that. And let's say there's work to be done. So do you accept any responsibility when a fan is hit with a speculative or ghost ticket?
Never, because we do not allow those on Ticketmaster.
But
and
it's
haven't for
happening.
years.
Mr. Berry, how about your members?
I'm sorry, Senator, do our members support?
Take any responsibility,
Absolutely, Senator. We serve tens of millions of fans every year.
okay? And Mr. Wall, why can't Ticketmaster work with artists and do what Mr. Ritchie has recommended, where you would have tiered opportunities for fans? Why can't you all make that happen?
So Ticketmaster never sets prices itself. However, Live Nation and Ticketmaster do offer the tiers, the platinums. For example, we stand alone. We're the only resale site that will consistently, if Mr. Ritchie says he doesn't want us to turn on resale on our Ticketmaster marketplace, we won't. If we do, we will pay him
Mr.
a portion
Ritchie?
of it.
I don't, that's the first time, I've heard very recently from Michaels, the CEO, that we could do this cap or not have resale. I'm like, well, he goes, yeah, we've done it for other artists for a while now, for Pearl Jam, which is maybe why they're not here making a stink today still. They might have a side deal from what I've seen. I'm like, why don't,
So it's not
they're like, you can have this
standard
deal too. I'm
operating.
like, why haven't you told us this? Oh, we're really bad at advertising. I'm like, come on, that's BS.
Yes.
There's nothing unusual about these arrangements I'm talking. Every artist that we promote has the option
How
to tell
can
us.
it not be unusual if the artists don't know
Right.
that this
We'd have
is
no
an
idea.
option?
I would be happy to put in the record the list of dozens of artists
Then you
that
need
we
to
have 'em right
turned
here.
off the
start
TM Plus.
supplying.
I know
You
who
need
the
to-
artists
I
are.
would
I got 'em.
recommend that you submit a list. Let me ask you to submit a list of artists who are able to control their ticket sales, who are able to turn off the secondary market, and who are able to work with you how they want to tier these tickets. Let
Senator,
me move
if I
on
may,
to,
Senator.
well, no, I'm moving
Face
on.
value exchange. We are the only one that offers artists the opportunity to
Mr.
do
Wall,
face value exchange.
I've got
How
another
long?
question for you.
Since we'd invented it a few years ago.
I've never heard of it. I'm very close with
Okay.
a lot of people at Live Nation
We're
everywhere.
going to move on to another. Senator Lujan referenced a letter that he and I sent to you.
Yes.
And I've got it right here. I will submit it for the record without objection. And in it, you said, and I'm going to quote, "Given the level of abuse you are now seeing, you will no longer permit brokers to use multiple accounts." So, before now, you have allowed brokers to use multiple accounts.
Yes.
This gets to what I was talking to Mr. Berry about verification of these accounts. So you've allowed them to use these multiple accounts, but then you also said in that letter that you weren't turning a blind eye. So were you all screwing up, or were you lying?
Neither.
Neither. Okay. Mr. Weingarten, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I mean, just a couple things just from what has been said, and I just want to make clear that the Ticket Act, as it's written, does not outright ban spec ticketing.
Right.
So that definitely does need to get updated or changed.
Okay.
And since we're all in agreement, that would be great. But the other piece is that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again? I apologize.
We were talking about, he was saying that we were talking about the brokers.
Multiple
scalpers,
accounts.
and the multiple
Oh, yeah.
accounts that the brokers had, and they had responded. We have the email where one of the C-suite said that they just turned a blind eye. It was standard practice. But in the response to Senator Lujan and I, they responded, "Given the level of abuse you are now seeing," like it was just now beginning to happen, "you will no longer permit brokers to use multiple accounts." And you had referenced the ghost tickets, speculative
Right.
tickets. So I was asking if you agreed with him.
I would definitely say that we experienced that quite a bit. In fact, when we're looking at different, trying to do some like scrubs to see how many scalpers are potentially hitting a particular show, sometimes they're even egregiously even utilizing the Boulder Theater's address and we'll see 20 to 30 different.
And then when you find one of these scalpers, what do?
We try to cancel those orders and get rid of them
Cancel the
because when you're
orders.
seeing
And you
when
do
you're
it
seeing
before-
60 when you're seeing 60 different orders, not tickets, 60 different orders from the state of Indiana or something like that come in for a show at the Fox Theater in Boulder on a particular night, we know that that's fraudulent activity.
Okay, Mr. Wall, I want to come back to you on this because I think it gets, why did you allow the abuse of the system for years? Before you said you weren't turning a blind eye and before you said you were going to clean it up.
What we allowed was brokers to have multiple accounts, and that is because virtually all brokers have multiple accounts and always have.
So you did not do verification if these were actual brokers or they were bots?
Oh, sure we did. Of course we did.
Well, you ended up with a whole lot of bots, and then you said you're blocking a lot of the bots. So, I mean, we've still got a difference. Mr. Ritchie, you had a comment?
It's this simple. If I buy a ticket and I go to the show, I'm their worst customer. If they allow these multiple counts to go on, that ticket resells and they make more money. Boom.
Mr. Wall, I want to come back to you. July of last year, Ticketmaster filed a public comment in response to the DOJ and the FTC request for information on issues in the ticketing industry. Now, in that public comment, you made some very interesting arguments. Not sure I agree with all of this, but you made some interesting arguments. On page 11 of that comment. You wrote that the BOTS Act, and I'm quoting, implicitly obligates ticketing platforms not to turn a blind eye to patterns of behavior that indicate unlawful ticketing harvesting.
Yes.
End quote. Okay, now I agree with that. You should not turn a blind eye to that. This supports the fact that the BOTS Act holds companies like Ticketmaster liable for selling unlawfully purchased tickets. Senator Moran and I wrote the BOTS Act, and the BOTS Act was never meant to be Section 230 for ticketing platforms. So why are you now taking the opposite position in ongoing litigation?
We aren't. There must be a misunderstanding because our interpretation of the BOTS Act is fundamentally the interpretation that you and Senator Lujan put forward in your amicus brief in the Key Investment Group case.
And we have another amicus brief coming on the second one. Okay, do you have, Senator Hickenlooper, do you have any questions?
I have myriad questions, but I will restrain myself. I wanted to, Mr. Ritchie, I wanted to ask, in your experience, your direct experience, how much control does the artist have in what the final price for an artist or a customer pays for that ticket relative to the add-ons?
The final price or setting the price of what we'd like?
The final price.
The final price, well, not much.
So you
I mean,
can't-
that includes all the fees, the tacked on, how the buildings make their money, everyone this, that, and the other. There's, they charge you how much to print out a ticket at home, all these little stuff that makes no sense, like that everyone's up in arms about. We get a ton of say in what we want the tickets priced at, because that's where we make our money, and we make the majority of that money. As I'm sure Mr. Wall will be happy to tell you, that's true. But at the end of the day, no, we don't have any over all those fees and everything that they tack on and all the stuff that people are really upset about. If I say tickets are $49, whatever, fans are usually like, okay, that's great. As artists, we want to treat our fans right. They know that. But then when they get to the end and they check out, they're like, why is this thing $75?
Right.
It's supposed to be $49. That's a huge problem.
Right, and there's no way, when you can't restrict the contract, when you're signing a contract with that promoter, they're unwilling or unable to guarantee that they can, assuming, obviously if we do a federal law that.
I mean, this is why I said subpoena some of this stuff, because what I've heard, people are getting kickbacks from this. Sometimes it's the managers or the artists. There's a lot of people at fault here. I'd like to put it all on Ticketmaster, and they take the majority of these blows, no question, them in Live Nation. But there's a lot of people there with their hands in this cookie jar that it shouldn't be in. And that's why I hope you subpoena a lot of these contracts and look for some of this fraud, because I bet there's some folks who go to jail.
I'm not going to judge anybody on that evidence yet. Since last year, the FTC's all-in pricing went into effect. Have you guys seen a change in the market since that? And maybe each one of you can describe a little bit what the change is. And then also, if we made that a federal law rather than just a rule, would that make a difference? So that's the two questions. Have you seen a change, and would it?
That's great. I think that's great for fans. Just more transparency, so they don't get sticker shock when they go to check out with all these hidden fees.
Okay.
It's been very important because contrary to what a lot of people believe, ticketing companies can't decide how to show these prices. It's the content owners who sort of dictate this, and so you have a problem getting everybody on board. It's now, we've been pushing this for years. The system is working. Some people were saying that there'd be a lot of problems. There haven't been any problems. It turns out this works just fine.
Right. And you think there's a benefit to making it a federal law as opposed to just a FTC rule?
The only thing I would ask with that is the industry has adjusted to the FTC rule, so tried to be as consistent as possible, but otherwise, yes, absolutely.
Taking what's working and just thank you.
Yeah.
I yield to the more experienced person up here than myself. Mr. Berry?
Yep, we absolutely support all-in, total upfront pricing. We've been advocating for years, and I want to thank the FTC for doing it, and I do agree it should be codified into statute.
Great. Mr. Weingarten?
Yes, we've been working, meaning the National Independent Venue Association, has been working throughout the states and we've gotten a lot of states on board for some time, and they've been, everybody, it's been great, and I think a federal law with that would be terrific.
All right. I appreciate that. I do have more questions, but I'm going to just put them in written form for you all.
We've had
I'll
them
let you
here
go.
for a little while. Mr. Berry, I do have one more for you. What percentage of the tickets that are sold on your platform are from brokers?
I don't have a specific percentage, Senator, but what I can tell you this, if you're a broker, or if you're a nurse, or if you're a season ticket holder, you're held to the same rules. You have to deliver the tickets as they have been ordered. You will be penalized or thrown off platform if you are not. The marketplace has to keep both sides of the equation honest.
I would like for you to submit for the record.
Absolutely.
That number. Mr. Weingarten, do you agree with that?
I 100% do not agree with that. I think that is very false. And we experience that, as I mentioned in my testimony, we experience that on a day-to-day basis. And I guarantee you that all the 100 venues that I represent for the Colorado Independent Venue Association and elsewhere will say the same thing.
Well, I want to draw this hearing to a close. You all have been gracious and you've been patient with our questions, and I am grateful for that. Members of the committee are going to have until February 4th to submit their questions for the record. As you have heard many say, they've got more questions, so you're going to get questions for a response in writing. We will expect that response back from you by February 18th and would appreciate it. As you can see, this is something people are, they've lost their patience with this price gouging, and they want to see some consistency, transparency, and maybe even a little bit of equitable treatment for fans in this marketplace. And at this point, I will conclude this hearing as I say thank you all for your time.